right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Games Industry Executive Summary. I'm not going to call myself Dashing, but Casey would usually be doing that. I'm filling in for him as the Master of Ceremonies here. And with us, we also have the analyst, Manu Rosier. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's actually bank holiday today in Switzerland, so
Really?
I'm particularly good. Not in Switzerland, in Geneva. It's Genevois.
Huh. Well, I guess if anyone knows about banks, it's Geneva. But how is it that we wound up with a bank holiday on Thursday?
I think you need to. You cannot eat today. How do you say that? You have to fast. It's a fasting
Oh,
day.
okay. Yeah.
Yes, it has historical origins, most probably.
And so, wait, I'm curious. What is it? What's the holiday?
It's called Genevois. And I'm just gonna Google so I don't say anything stupid. Comes from 1567 against a Protestant from Lyon.
Interesting.
And yeah, it was a moral act, I think, against opposition, against invaders or something like that. There's
Huh.
always been good, good. How can I say? Special relationship between this part of Switzerland and Savoy and all the cities around here. So yeah, I think it's more of a sign of independence.
Interesting. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
always the idea that that a city would have its own holiday of that kind doesn't really happen in the U.S. outside of like maybe New Orleans because they take Mardi Gras off and no one else does.
Yeah, actually, it's the canton of Geneva. It's not really the city, just the canton.
Right.
Switzerland has all these little part of the country, and to be fair, every single canton has its own rules when it comes to some schools, also school holidays. So there's a lot of difference. If you live between two cantons, it's usually quite challenging from a
Interesting.
planning perspective. Holidays are not the same, not exactly the same.
Cool. Yeah, we have a little bit of that in the Netherlands. The Sint Maarten is not celebrated in The Hague, and maybe other. I don't know. It's a bit hard to keep track of. Anyways, what are you playing? What's going on?
Yeah, so yeah, I wanted to talk about the game Hell is Us, which has been unfortunately released, I think, last week at the same time as the game that cannot be named Hollow, Hollow Knight Silksong. Hell is Us is some kind of futuristic apocalyptic game, third person, more of a melee type of action, no guns, a bit of a Dark Souls type, but not that much. You can just play it in a story mode. What I think is interesting is that the world they've created is quite interesting. The power, the enemies, the way you fight, the way you can upgrade. You have this kind of some magical powers. Let's call it like that. You have a little drone also helping you. But what makes it really different? It's almost feel like third person point and click in the sense that there are a lot of investigations, secrets that unfold. There is a main quest, and then there are like side quests. There are like hidden treasure and temples and things like that. And also there is no map. There is no marker. There is no to-do list. It just to have to read everything and kind of organize yourself, your investigation. You read what you read everything that you have collected, and then based on that you go where you need to go. But it's not gonna put you a question mark on a map. So
Interesting.
I think that's yeah, it's there are some elements of Dark Souls in that sense, where it's like the story. You have to dig to understand the story, to understand what is happening, because it's not really obvious. And yeah, that makes it quite interesting. And at the same time, it's not as difficult to fight and to survive as it is in a Dark Soul. So you kind of have this mystery of a Dark Soul game more than the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's like I think we were talking about this a little, not last week, but the week before, but about the game. But I'll just say it, Hollow Knight. that the way in which it most successfully like accessed the Dark Souls idea was not necessarily through gameplay, but through its overall sense of a submerged story and this kind of sense of loss and stuff.
Yeah, and there is a bit of despair also. The world is really not
Yeah,
a nice place to live anymore.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Let's
yeah,
see
and
one
you
of these in a
can
happy
feel.
world where everyone's doing great. What like some kind of submerged narrative in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, like happy. I think there were some. You had this crab game, Dark
Yeah,
Souls, which was kind of it's a kind of colorful type of and playful type of game, even if it has the mechanics of the Souls games. I think there was also one or two other in the past, but they were more. Um, they looked casual. They looked more cartoony. They didn't look really realistic. But yeah, maybe there is something in like a feel good Dark Souls type of game, you know?
I like it. I like it. And it looks like Hell is Us is Nacon, which you don't hear about them a ton, but hopefully they can get some momentum out of this if they can get under the shadow of Silksong.
Yeah, they did also they did Mordheim, City of the Damned. That
Right.
was a long time
Right.
ago, almost 10 years ago. But yeah, it's so the studio itself is called Rogue Factor. I would say that would have been a great Game Pass game, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean
That
it's such a. Do we have anything about? Oh, we've got that on the trends. So yeah, we can let's just talk about that now then, because I think it is so interesting the way that what makes a good Game Pass game, you know, at the beginning of Game Pass was it was really just a good game, right? Because it was still a novel. It was still a novel thing, and you know, they were kind of still building that service.
Mhm.
But now it's not quite like it. So I'm gonna get this. Yeah, I'm not as good at the screen sharing as old
Mhm.
Casey, but yeah, there's so we have this thing about the fact that it obviously is cannibalizing sales. That if people can get it for free, you will get it elsewhere. And so to make a good Game Pass game, you need to have this very interesting balance, I think, of like Clair Obscur is an interesting one, right? Because a lot of PC players, a lot, and so they can theoretically get it for free, but it's already small, and so it needed the exposure to begin with. And then also,
Silksong.
you know, there's a lot of PS5 people to play it, so I think that's probably a good case for it, but it is also kind of on the edge.
Silksong is a Game Pass game.
Silksong's a
And
Game
if
Pass game?
yeah,
I had no
absolutely. If you
idea.
bought it on Steam, maybe you can refund the money
No, I'm
from the
swift
Game
on
Pass.
that. I don't have a Steam Deck, and for me, there's something about the smallness of it. I want to be handheld. That's what I want for it.
I think there is a sweet spot in terms of what game really works. I personally would try some games on Game Pass, and if I feel like they are good enough, I would potentially buy them afterwards on Steam. So that's probably the journey of some players. I think if the players are convinced about a game, they will probably buy it instantly. Um, the yearly titles, Call of Duty, we've seen that the performance on Xbox from the premium SKU has not been on par with PlayStation last year. So yeah, the yearly title probably is suffering more from the subscription competition because it perfectly makes sense to be within a subscription when you play the same game, a new version of the same game each year. Basically, EAFC is similar, but EAFC is not releasing on day one in the Game Pass. It's releasing through EA Play, which is not the Pro version. The Pro version is only available on PC. Um, so
Well, it makes sense to, if you play one game every. It makes sense to do Game Pass as a subscription, but not if you just play the one game every year,
mhm.
because then the subscription's more expensive than Game Pass.
Yeah, in yes, in the case of um, of Game Pass, I think the EA Play Pro, for example, is very close to the price of one game, one and a half game, I think, if I remember correctly. So if you are into FIFA, I mean EAFC, and then any other EA game, I think it makes sense. But yeah, for the Game Pass, it's a different story. I think also I would consider that if I play a game which is a finite experience, 5 to 10 hour single player campaign story, I think it's a good fit for Game Pass. But if it's a game or even an indie game, but it's that has a lot of replayability, if it's a roguelite type of game, then you would consider buying it and keeping it forever. So I think, and the reason people stay engaged with Game Pass is potentially when you have these little bits of games dropping very regularly, every 2 week, every month. Like this one, I want to play that one. I had planned to buy that one, to play that one, so I keep my subscription and I will play it. Because then ultimately it's a matter of $20 or $15 to play it.
Yeah, so I mean, and they've had a good cadence recently. So we have Blueprints, we had Silksong now, which is in a slightly different category because discoverability is not really a problem, but still,
Mm-hmm.
that's there. And I'm trying to think of what else we've had recently. I also keep mine around for the occasional Age of Empires match, so I think that stuff also works with. It helps form a baseline for Game Pass, right? These first party stuff that you might not play all the time, but you can jump in every once in a while if you want.
Yeah. I think for me, the Game Pass Ultimate is no brainer because my kids, they leverage that on the Xbox anyway. But every time I just open the app, I see, oh, wow, I could download 2 or 3 games and play them. So it's more a matter of time available because if I look right now, they've released Gear of War Reloaded in there. They've released Rogue Prince of Persia, which is kind of a Dead Cells type of game.
Right, and that's
Um,
about the Dead Cells developer, right?
I don't know. I don't know. It could be. Yeah.
I
They,
forgot about that. I should try that because
yeah.
I love Dead Cells.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
Evil
have
Empire. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Mirage, Grounded 2, Wu Chang, Abiotic Factor, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. They had Ion Life. They have Robocop Rogue City. So
Yeah,
there's
they
like,
got a lot of good stuff on there.
yeah.
I feel like that's the core problem is that like that's a great list right there. Not only of things that
Mhm.
have been releasing rolling, but things they've had for a long time. And like if that list can't give them the numbers they need, then it's kind of difficult to improve on it. You know?
Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, just these are many are must have games. I still struggle with the app as such on
Yeah.
PC.
I
I
mean, I
still
think
feel like it's
Steam
so sad.
integration. They can get Steam
Yeah,
integration, everything's different.
I think it's all it's game over. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I really don't know who the blocker there because again we have EA on Steam, so it's not like this
Hmm.
is a blanket policy. But I don't know who wants that less, Microsoft or EA, because if
Oh no, oh Steam, you
or,
mean?
yeah, Steam, Microsoft or Valve, yeah,
Steam, they don't care. They would take anything.
yeah. I guess anyone spending money, they're cool. So Microsoft
Yeah,
doesn't
but
want
at
to.
the same time, I wonder if the indie developers that they make money on Steam and they also make money from Game Pass, if
Yeah,
they would probably suffer from some kind of cannibalization having the Game Pass within Steam because then everything becomes more uh, discoverable and visible for an audience that would not be even aware of Game Pass,
yeah.
because
It's
let's be honest, I don't think Game Pass is very popular in Asia because people they don't play on console at all. Yeah.
yeah. That's a tricky one because as you say, you buy stuff on Steam if you like it on Game Pass. And it's
Hmm.
always tricky when you have, that's like functionally, that's two things, right? It's so it can be in your Steam library, you can have it
Hmm.
forever, and that's like good,
Hmm.
but you do still have it on Game Pass while you have it. It's not like you're waiting till it leaves. And then it's like kind of a donation, and it is interesting to like form a large part of a many billion-dollar industry on what is functionally a donation. But video games are weird.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Absolutely.
So we've got two
Yeah.
highlights this week that are both kind of a kind. We have
Yes.
some details about the Newzoo game report out recently about its forecast to read, as I just said, multi-billion,
Hmm.
188.8 billion to be precise.
Hmm.
So why
Yes.
don't you tell us a little bit about this, about what we've got in this report?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted. We released this report a few weeks ago for our paid clients, the paid subscriber, and then we released the free version of that report early this week. And I just wanted to have a note at it. There's a lot of people talking about it in the press, and the absolute number of 2025. I think what is interesting is that we are now beating the pre-COVID numbers or the COVID numbers, because we had a spike in 2021 thanks to the engagement, and then people were at home and they were playing a lot. Then we had this hangover between 22 and 24, and finally 25 is back up against the past, which is great, but it's obviously helped by the launch of the Switch 2. That's a significant impact on the market, and then 2026 expected to grow further thanks to GTA 6. So these kind of discrete events are kind of helping, but all in all, we talk a lot about all the the layoffs and the downsizing and the games canceled, but we are still in a growing industry. That's just the message there. Not everything is doom and gloom. It's just that there are only a few winners, but all in all, the whole industry is still up, and it's on console obviously, but it's also a PC and mobile. They are still doing well. The thing is, the market is evolving, so there will be the winners of yesterday will might be loser of today, but it's not going anywhere as an entertainment solution.
Well, that's good for us, definitely, because
Yeah.
otherwise, I used to be a waiter, and I think that would just stress me out too much now. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because if we're in the same spot, if we've exceeded 2020, man, do we have a lot less jobs than we did at that moment.
Well, I think also the industry kind of ramped up at COVID and after COVID, but it was lagging behind. It's like it's ramped up, hoping that the market would do plus 20%, but that wasn't realistic neither. It was an artificial growth from 2019 to 2021. But the reality, if you look at the trend before 2019 and you draw a line, you would just be fine. It's just that there was this bump in 2021, and then everybody thought that it would last forever, and everybody invested in the video game and hired more and more people. So I think we are more coming back to a normal curve of growth. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the industry kind of were higher in the hope that the industry would grow faster, but it's just normal curve. The other thing that we can see is that in terms of the number of players, there is no magic happening here. We have we look at the demographics. The global human population is not growing at exponential rates anywhere. It's just a steady growth, if not going down in some Western countries. And almost all layers of all generations are playing games. It's not also that we have new generation of players replacing non-gamer generation. So we're feeling vertically, we are feeling all the layers of age, all the band age with video games, which means that it can only grow if the total is growing, but it's not like it's stretching within the current population. So there are still pockets of growth in some emerging market, which can get a better access to gaming, and maybe they have some more means to spend money. But there's not going to be a magical plus 10% of players from one year to another anymore. That's technically not possible.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's the core of kind of the issue that we're running into the gaming industry right now, is that things have been growing in all senses for a really long time, right? The budgets are growing, the
yeah.
technical requirements are growing, and the industry is
Mm-hmm.
growing. And like it just we got used to a lot of, I think, practices that in retrospect are not very good, in that it's like the exponential increase in visuals. And we were able to just kind of push that under the rug because we had new gamers to pick up, and we kept on picking them up. And now that that story is done, we have to sort of deal with the consequences of those decisions, which may not have made any sense at the time.
Yeah, it's acceptance. You just have to accept that that's the reality. And it's the same if you remember it used to be package, and then there was this digital transition, and then the margin that they exploded because you make better margin if you sell in digital compared than if you sell in package. You have no costs, basically no cost of goods. And it's also, you cannot draw a line, because at some point when you reach 90-95% of digital sales, there is no growth anymore there is no profitability increase anymore based on that, because you've reached the top. So it's just kind of you're feeling something to the point where you've reached it, and now the profitability will not come from that anymore. One pocket of profitability potentially for the publisher is that if they can rid of the middleman, if they get rid of the Apple Store or the App Store or the Google Play, that's one pocket of profitability for the publisher. But
I mean, but
that's also
everyone
limited.
tried doing that to Steam, and it sure did not work.
Yeah, and it creates friction for the player, so
Yeah.
it's very, very challenging. It's that's where the market is going. And also, let's be clear, it's propelled by the Switch 2 and by GTA 6. So if you are not 2K and if you are not publishing games on the Switch, you still have to challenging time for your game.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we have these kind of events. I mean, white swan events, maybe black swan events. That like, yeah, they're special, but they do happen with relative frequency. Like, we have one this year, we're going to have one next year, and it's not impossible that something could happen the year after, right? Do we have? Are there more years when we have things like this? Is it really the exception when we don't have a major event?
2027, that's where we expect the next gen of console. The PlayStation 6, right now we have them at end of 27, because that would be 7 years since PlayStation 5, which is the standard cycle of hardware. Will it happen? I don't know, but
Probably
with all
not.
the rumors you already have, I think I'm tempted to believe that it will be that at that time at the latest. So that's good. Somehow that's good for the industry.
I mean, hopefully, I mean, we have no idea how a next console launch could go, or like there's. I mean, I think people are really the Switch. Nintendo's in its own league, or it's not league, just own area. But still, I think that we will get some information about Switch sales, Switch 2 sales, especially around Christmas. Like, is it able to generate the momentum that we typically see of a new console, or is it enthusiasts picking it up because they want to?
Yeah.
And then that's good, because we don't have the system seller yet. Donkey Kong Bonanza is awesome, but it doesn't quite have that sauce that Super Mario Odyssey had. It's not. It's hard to say exactly why. For one thing, it doesn't have Mario, and it definitely Mario Kart World is definitely not Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that's tricky. The argument is not nearly as clear as it was with the Switch. So I'm really curious to see. I mean, and again, Mario will likely have something coming our way soon, and maybe that is that's going to be their holiday release. I think they will need something, and something big, something on an Odyssey, Breath of the Wild scale, in order to get that kind of momentum.
There is a Nintendo Direct today.
Yeah, so that's right. It's today. And it's Mario oriented, right? This is the plumber is turning 40.
I think that would be a massive if they release a Mario at holiday, like a true Mario game. That's gonna change. We have to review a forecast about the Switch 2 sales if that happens to be.
Yeah, and also, Mario. I mean, I'm guessing it's for true Mario game. We mean 3D Mario, right? We mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The main one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it is always the question if it's good, if it's one of the ones that really comes out swinging. Because Odyssey.
So we had Mario World, we had Mario Galaxy. So was it Mario Universe this time? You have Mario Kart World,
Mario Reality.
I don't know. There is Mario something,
Yeah. So
imagine they would release a Mario with UGC, where you could basically.
I mean, we have that. We have Super Mario Maker.
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah. But it's 2D or it's 3D?
Yeah, it's 2D, and it's making levels specifically. You could make a game mode or something like that.
Okay.
And I don't think it. I mean, I think that the modern UGC phenomenon is pretty defined by multiplayer.
Do we have a survival Mario?
Yeah, kind of like an extension of Lego Fortnite.
Lego Fortnite Mario.
Yeah, it's
Mario Fortnite.
Hard to imagine a survival game that's all about jumping, but maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, interesting. So yeah, that's where the market is going. And then the other thing this year we do it differently for the report. We have 5 key topics that we've been looking at, and the first one that we are releasing, like part of it as free, is all about the launch strategy. When should you release your game?
Yeah.
Should you do early access and that kind of stuff? So there is some interesting take in there. I think I like. We looked at the probability of success depending on the month you're releasing your game. And the thing is, usually you have more attention at the end of the year during the holiday season, but you also have to, the attention is split between many titles because many people want to be there, want to be heard. Marketing costs are huge usually. There's right now we feel that the May June period is a bit underused. There've been successes in the past. Maybe there's something there, and also we can see that some months are heavily. When we try to do some average, we see that some months are really heavily impacted by games that would have be successful any time of the year, but just they released in February, like Harry Potter, or they released in August or in May. But I think there is a change of mindset that you don't need to release at Christmas to be taken seriously. And this is something I had been advocating for a while at Electronic Arts, because when I joined, it was still a package business about 10 years ago. But then you realize that the story of grandma buying a game at Christmas for the kids and putting them under the Christmas tree, that's not happening that much anymore, because you don't buy package. You don't have like physical. You can buy a card
Yeah.
potentially,
That's
but it's
fascinating.
not
Yeah.
the same, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You need to
So
like put it
ultimately,
attached to a stuffy or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not that much. There is time to buy games through the years. Time and budget. I think that makes it different. So you create your own hype outside of the Christmas season. So and yeah, again, a lot of good stuff in the report. The free one is also is very interesting already. So we will come back to that probably, because we will release each month a special topic. So we will have one about the post-launch content strategy for single-player games. So we look at games like Hitman, for example, or Dead Cells, and other games where we try to understand what's the best strategy to keep your audience engaged after launch if you are a single player game, and also how you can monetize further. So that's coming. And then we have one about Roblox, because you cannot
Not
avoid
people are doing
Roblox.
serious analysis of Roblox. So I'm glad that you guys are doing it, because it
Yeah,
is a central part of the modern gaming industry, but everyone kind of hand waves it away.
it's the biggest ecosystem right now. But it's not even a game; it's a platform, but it's more an ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it was so when we had this concurrent players thing because of the other week.
Mm-hmm.
You're not comparing Roblox to games. You're comparing Roblox to Steam. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have a dream that at some point we would be able to tell like the overlap in audience between players playing Grower Garden in Roblox and people playing Farming Simulator on Steam. I would love to have this better, because right now we can tell if a
I
Farming
would guess
Simulator player.
I would guess there's not a lot of overlap. That would be my guess.
Yeah, but the idea is that right now you can track the Farming Simulator player and see if they play Roblox, but you don't know what they play in Roblox.
Actually,
So
has SteamDB making because SteamDB basically its concurrent
users
users are huge. Like that's the main thing it does, and like Roblox publishes its concurrent users. You could scrape that in the same way that Steam would scrape that you could scrape it off Steam. Is anyone doing that?
yeah, but you cannot understand if a player is playing both games.
No, that's true. I was just to the side. Is someone running the SteamDB like service for Roblox?
There is a raw monitor which has a free version and is tracking. It's a bit like Fortnite GG, and actually Newzoo is partnering with raw monitor because we want more from that, and we want to help them showcase this data, because it's super interesting to see the trend and what players are playing. I was playing a shooter game this morning with my son. It's super fun. It's a Roblox shooter game, but it's super fun. It's
Oh, what
almost
is it?
like a Team Fortress 2. I don't even remember the name, but it's just quite nice. Yes, and they also show me a game which look like Call of Duty, like even visually, it's not the blocks
Yeah, I think I remember
anymore.
seeing an ad for
Yeah,
that, and it was very
yeah, yeah.
striking at the time. Unless there's more than one, but I don't know, it
Hmm.
seemed like a big deal.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's the plan for the coming weeks and the coming months.
Yeah, that's super interesting. All right,
Hmm.
it's time. It's time to talk about it. It's time to talk about Silksong. Have you played Silksong?
No, I haven't. No, I think I don't know if I said I just played the first one.
Yeah, we talked about it the other week. Yeah,
Yeah. Have you played it?
yeah. No, I just I'm sort of in the beginning of Act Two now. I mean, again, I'm a huge Hollow Knight fan. That's an important game to me, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely whatever your opinions on Hollow Knight are will be your opinions on Hollow Knight Silksong, most definitely. And but I do think there is an interesting way in which there is a way in which this is a 7-year-old game because this is made by a
Hmm.
small team. If you have a big team, you're
Yeah.
probably getting more input from other places, and it's using a lot of the systems and that kind of thing. Which when Hollow Knight came out, some of these systems were seen as a lot friendlier than Dark Souls, which is kind of what it was
Yeah.
being compared to at the time. But the conversation shifted since then, and we're not talking
Hmm.
about Dark Souls. We're talking about Elden Ring, which is a
Yeah.
lot friendlier. And so now we're seeing these things which are a little. Now they seem a little out of step. Like especially these. I just fought those dudes. They were cool. Uh, and so we're seeing, I think, like especially these boss runbacks, right? There's
Hmm.
definitely some difficult boss runbacks which just feel exhausting now, or long
Hmm.
checkpointing, just things that were fairly standard at a certain point and no longer are. I think it's so interesting to see the way that people are bumping up against those things and getting angry about those things when they might have celebrated them 8 years ago, right before Hollow Knight came out.
Hmm.
Moving on here. Anyways, it's a cool game. I still find it. There's lots of good indie games out here, and this one was really just able to capture the narrative in such a way. Also, these guys seem real cool. I think that they've done it well,
Hmm.
and they're clearly at this point doing it for the love of it because they're rich as they could possibly be, and they don't have a publisher, so there's no one pushing them on that side. But
Yeah, and I mean they've delivered. And the Metacritic score is at 92, so they survived the hype basically.
yeah, they did.
It doesn't happen all the time, right? Remember what was this game again? Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
The next one, the next one is Vampire the Masquerade 2.
yeah.
That
That I
will be.
mean, hard to imagine. I mean, there's not a lot of hype around that one. It's more like, well, okay, because I mean, that's been. I remember watching a demo with that at GDC, like I
Mm,
don't know, 10 years ago,
mhm.
11 years ago, and like that was a
Yeah,
full demo they gave us.
iconic game, but a limited fan base.
Yeah,
It's not.
it was a cult thing. I mean, even now, if you want to play the
Mhm.
original, you have to download like a fan made patch in order to make it like work. Yeah, I mean, obviously the next big one's GTA, right? It's hard to imagine they won't deliver on some parts on the core thing of making a cool world to go around it and shoot people. Expectations are incredibly high, and the world is also quite different than it
Mhm.
was when GTA 5 came out. And I think that we have seen in the progression from GTA 3 to GTA 5 that the people in charge of Rockstar are not necessarily interested in matching what they're making to current cultural moment. They're, for lack of a better term, they are rich middle-aged dudes, and they are not. And such people are not interested in change. So I found GTA 5 to feel a little bit tired, basically, the story mode that is. Just a little bit like, okay, we're doing this again. Like, and like we're doing a fancier version of this, but we're doing this again. And so I do really wonder if we're going to run into a problem like that. And then, of course, there's the online thing. Can you migrate GTA Online? And I mean, and necessarily at this point, pick up new
Mhm.
people. Uh, can you migrate that? And can you make? And they haven't obviously said anything about that. and I don't think it's going to launch at the same time as GTA 6. But that's the real question out there, and I think that like that there are all these same questions to be asked, and I don't get the success is not guaranteed. I think it is guaranteed virtually to be the largest game launch ever. I don't see why it
Hmm.
wouldn't be as far as
Hmm.
selling retail copies in the first week. Yeah. After that, a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I think it will probably live up to the hype of quality, but sales, actual sales, like even the best game ever, how much can you actually pull from the market? It's a different question because we've seen some, I would say, unreasonable forecast. Not ours.
Yep.
I think 6 or 7 billion, like selling 80 million copies of the game
Yeah. Didn't
on
Battlefield want to sell
console
like 100 million or something like that?
on console only, while you you barely have that as an install base of PlayStation 5 and Xbox.
Yeah.
It's like attach rate 90-95%, like Mario Kart World, which is not realistic. So I think the challenge will be really selling these maybe 50 million. That would already be massive, in first year. I think they can do 30, 40, because we have the example of Red Dead Redemption. Back then, I think they did 20, between 20 and 30
And
million.
I mean, GTA is definitely bigger.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. But 50 would be
50
is
would be.
to
I
twice.
mean, I don't think it's impossible. Definitely.
No, no, no.
But it needs. And again, for me, the big question is online, because that is what
Mhm.
turned GTA 5 from like a super, like one of the most popular game franchises out there to an unstoppable money making juggernaut.
Absolutely.
And so can you,
Yeah.
and like also GTA Online has got a lot of problems. Like it's a really difficult game to play in a lot of ways. And so if they can make a more approachable version of that, again, like the version that makes a little more sense, I would be way more excited about that than the traditional story mode that
Sorry.
everything is
Yeah,
usually tied to.
absolutely. Yeah.
I've always thought that, like, GTA is based on this kind of wild anarchy, and that just fits a lot better with an online.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Next, I think what's be interesting to talk about is this patent that everyone is talking about with Nintendo has apparently patented the idea of summoning things and having them and having them fight. Which
Hmm.
anyone who knows about video games knows it's kind of a ridiculous thing to patent. Like before Pokemon, I think we saw that in Final Fantasy. We saw that in Dragon
Yeah.
Quest. Like or like arguably like you throw a necromancer and then put a skeleton out and there you go, bam, you violated patent law. So this
Yes.
is wild.
Yes, if it is really as described, because you always have people trying to make big news of small events, but yeah, it's the US only so far. Um, I don't know. There is a. It feels like Nintendo has not been very friendly with players for some time now. I just feel like they're increasing the prices. They are doing this kind of stuff. It doesn't feel like they are friendly at this point.
And
My,
it's
my,
never felt like they have particular connection to their players. That
yeah,
they're up
which
in the
makes it
treehouse and they're making games.
it's like Stockholm syndrome from the Nintendo fans somehow.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
just
And I'm one of
and,
them.
and
Like, I buy their stuff. I mean, it's good. They're making good games, but there's obviously a cost to this.
yeah, and I don't think it encourage non-Nintendo players to jump in the ecosystem. To be fair, the this kind of behavior. Um, so that's maybe a challenge for them. I think for young kids it's fine because young kids they don't really grasp the whole concept or like the bigger picture of what's
Well,
happening and the
young kids
behavior.
and the broad swath of the gaming public that has never opened a PC Gamer article in their lives. I think that's really the core Nintendo audience is like
Mhm.
people that play games when
Absolutely.
they were kids getting it now. Just the sort of non-core game audience.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if it's really a question
But
of if they can bring if they can bring a lawsuit to, so I mean, like, obviously there's a million lawsuits they can bring, right? Pal World, they could take another run at Pal World,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if it happens, they're like
Hmm.
that would be wild, and there's no way of knowing what kind of the impact that would be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, on Nintendo there is this other news or just like feedback that they that's an interesting take, and I also wrote something about it is, do you always need new IP? What's the point of pursuing new IPs? Everybody's like, well, we want new IP, we want new stories, we're tired of this remake, remaster, and the second or third game in the same franchise. I think there's an interesting take. It's like it's more about how can you bring new gameplay in an existing IP.
Yeah,
So
I think that's smart. Like
yeah,
Donkey Kong Bonanza is totally different than any Donkey Kong game before, but it's just a little more recognizable because Donkey Kong's there. Like, yeah, why not? I mean, I think especially because these aren't like story and world building focused games, right? If you're gonna like Assassin's Creed, there's a lot of things you need in order to be an Assassin's Creed game. But Nintendo has never been that focused in. So like in the world of Mario, we've got Paper Mario, we've got Mario Tennis, we've got Mario Odyssey, right? There's a lot of stuff you can do
yeah.
there.
I think about you have Assassin's Creed and then you have Watch Dogs. Okay,
Yeah.
Watch Dogs is kind of a reskin of Assassin's Creed.
Hmm.
Why not do an Assassin's Creed in today, nowadays, or in the future? So why would an Assassin's Creed in the future be worse than just doing a Watchdog? Why would the perception of player like it's not innovative because it's not a new IP? Why
Yeah.
the reality is the gameplay is slightly different, but it remains the same. So I think sometimes players they just think that new IP will bring new gameplay, but usually new IPs are just the same gameplay, kind of remixed maybe, but not
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's new
And you
gameplay.
need to be more conservative with the new IP sometimes.
Mm.
It's harder. But I think that the Watch Dogs example is kind of interesting, though, because, if you're going to make an Assassin's Creed game, you need to access this long running story they have with the
Hmm.
alien. Like, you can't really make an Assassin's Creed without talking about that. So already
Yeah,
that's a bit of baggage you've got there.
yeah.
And Nintendo properties don't have that in the same way. Like Mario needs to jump basically, and Donkey Kong smashed. Like that's what they took from Donkey Kong in this one is he smashes things. But there's a lot of places to do
Ah,
that. But like again, to return to Assassin's
yeah.
Creed, so you need the story, you need a hidden blade, you need Templars. Like there's actually I think quite a lot of things that you need to put in there that could easily like imagine putting that into Watch Dogs. It might have been a better game, but like you do have requirements if you're going to make and I think that the reason we're hearing this Nintendo is they are uniquely well situated to this because they've always been playful with this.
Yeah, I think another good example is Far Cry Blood Dragon. What
Yeah,
was it?
yeah. Well,
Yeah, Blood Dragon
Blood
because
Dragon, and then Primal, and then the
I'm
apocalyptic one. Yeah,
they kept it within the IP, but they offer us something different that probably would not have sold well at all if it was a brand new game, not within the Far Cry IP. But Far Cry is a bit more flexible because there's basically no meta story in there. It's just different protagonists each time, different country. Um, it's yeah, but the other thing, and we were discussing that together, is what is an extraction shooter with Mario? What Nintendo, they cannot go grim, they cannot go dark, so they still are limited by the tone of their IPs.
yeah. The
They don't
tone
really have any
definitely. Yeah,
IPs really for grown up. So it's a bit easy to say, well, we don't need to build new IPs, but yeah, because you're never going to build an IP for adults. You're Nintendo. So and what about newcomers in the industry? They cannot use existing IPs most of the time, so it's also the way this is framed also feel like, yeah, I have my you have the industry entry barrier, which are the IPs, and if you don't already own one IP, you cannot compete. It's a bit like in in Formula One, when you have only so many teams allowed on the grid, you cannot just come and say, "Oh, I'm going to be part of it." No, if you want to be part of Formula One, you have to buy an existing team and rebrand it if you
Yeah.
want to.
Late stage
So
capitalism, man. It's
yeah,
principles of the
exactly.
free
So
market no longer apply.
yeah, I just it's now I'm thinking when I read that I'm like, yeah, it's easy to say when you own the space, you are almost in
Yeah.
a monopolistic state. Yeah.
No, I think it's also, remember we were talking about the Shinobi movie a while back. For one thing, the new Shinobi, awesome, so good.
Hmm. Hmm.
But we're like, why make a Shinobi movie? And I think that's the way that people are approaching IP a lot these days. And something about is like, you're making a movie anyways, right? Why not? Why not throw an IP on there if you have access to one? It really only helps you. You don't have to necessarily follow a lot of it. You just get a little more discoverability in there in a world where that is kind of the main problem.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, next we're going to talk about consoles. Console pricing has gone terribly wrong. Apparently, people are raising their prices rather than cutting them, which has always been kind of the mode here. And so, yeah, what do we think about this?
Let me just check which one it. Yeah, I think it echoes what the guy from Capcom said last time, that Monster Hunter Wilds was not successful partially because the price of the console it keeps increasing and it becomes so much of a roadblock for players to actually play the game, because his approach was to factor in the price of the console and the price of the game and say this is the cost to play Monster Hunter Wild if you don't have a new gen console yet. So
And this is why
yeah,
I'm not sure if PS5 is coming out in 2027 because we're just going to reset the clock on that problem.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like it's not like we're anywhere near full market penetration on these things yet.
Hmm.
Moore's law uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
doesn't work anymore, and so the idea that things are going to just continue to plummet in price doesn't work across any computing categories anymore.
That's why I don't get right now that all these PC portable devices are so expensive. I mean, 600, 700, 900 euro for a portable PC that can only do gaming on a small screen. It doesn't make sense for it. I don't see how you will never get mass market with that.
But yeah, but like 600 for a capable gaming laptop
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
I don't know, that's kind of cheap, really. And then
Yeah.
if you add in the pressure of having to cram everything into a tiny frame and need to have
Hmm.
a capable battery, which
Hmm.
the price of the battery is basically just a function of how much power it can store. Like that's a really sort of commodity market right there.
Yeah.
There's not a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
ways to bring that price down.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it's tough. Like, I think it's a very similar to the problem we talked about earlier, where for a while, video games just hand waved away and pushed these problems under the rug because you're growing quickly enough. And I think that happened with
Hmm.
computing too. That like for a long time, power just got cheaper and bandwidth just got cheaper. All these sort of basic building blocks of what it is to have a personal computing device. Everything got cheaper, and that's not
Yeah.
happening in the same way.
Anymore. Now it's slowing down big time. And yeah, it's the first generation of console that is increasing through this life cycle.
Yeah.
I think the first what PlayStation 5 digital was 400 euro, and now it's like 500. I've heard also rumors. I don't know if it's true, if it has been confirmed that the size of the disc would also shrink for the digital PlayStation 5, which
Yeah, wow,
doesn't make sense.
that's wild. Yeah.
So I hope it's a rumor because I've not heard seen any confirmation. But yeah, it's getting expensive for players to play on console. I would just make that adjustment. It's that it's still it's expensive, becoming expensive machine. The games are also expensive. So yeah,
And again,
all good.
we come back to Roblox.
Yeah,
Uh, it's funny because the devices we use to play Roblox primary. I mean, obviously people play on PC and people play on
yeah.
console, but in mobile, I mean, mobile is a really big part of that. And
Hmm.
the devices that you play on are just as expensive. It's just that people are much more likely to already have one.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be hardware agnostic. That's as simple as that. And I think what they crack the code Roblox is also because you don't need a powerful device to run it. And I think the younger generation doesn't care that much about visual fidelity. They just care about gameplay and about social space. And I think that's a big difference from older players like us. We still feel like we want compelling graphics to enjoy a game. And that's something also some of the decider in the industry right now, which are a bit older, they don't get. It's not that important. It's gameplay first. It has always been somehow. But
I find that so encouraging. I didn't necessarily see it coming, but obviously the seeds of that concept were there with the explosion of indie games, and to see it take over or begin to take over the industry via Roblox and even via other things. Like Fortnite is not. Why PUBG was ugly when it first came out.
yeah,
And like to see people really be able to push past that, I think is great. It's so fun that that's happening,
and you see that with Battlefield 6, where they say we won't put ray tracing in the game because we want more players to be able to play it. So
Yeah.
it's really about removing friction for the player. It's always about that.
I mean,
Always come
NVIDIA
back.
sure is lucky that it was able to conquer the world through AI, or else it
Yes.
would have had a problem otherwise. They're doing
Yeah.
fine now.
Yeah. There's still, and I think there's, because of the gaming population has growth significantly, the number of core players has grown like organically. Also, people that have money to spend in expensive graphic card has just increased. So
Yeah, well,
it's
you're saying like yes, all generations do play
mm-hmm,
now, but you do have the density and the amount that you're comfortable with playing.
mm-hmm,
As people like me, I was born in '87 and
mm-hmm.
older. We're now entering into kind of peak spending years, and so that is a big
Yeah,
difference, I think.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, luckily, people are still making like big, fancy-looking games because
Mm-hmm.
people like me got the money. But I, I would be totally fine with that beginning to ebb away, barring massive societal collapse. I feel like whenever we want to make long-term predictions, you're like, well, if the foundations of the modern economy and society hold, which who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always wait for the collapse that never happens.
Yeah, exactly.
All
All right,
right.
I think we're
I
coming
think
to the
it's
end of our list. Is there anything else that you wanna hit before we're done?
no. I think it's good. We cover the key ones. Some other are just like small news, but they don't really they are not that significant. I'd say. Yeah, Dead Island 2 reaching 20 million players is not bad, because Dead Island 2 is a game that's, I think it's good game. I enjoy it particularly. I like single player zombie games like that, a bit story driven. Um, and But so 20 million players is a lot, for that kind of game, even if there is this Game Pass effect in there. And I'm happy that this IP is still alive.
Wait, Dead
And
Island 2 came out in 2023? Wasn't there another one was there something in between Dead Island 2? Like
there
Dead
is
Island
another game
Owen or something?
which used to be the same studio, but it's not the same studio anymore. I can't remember the name right now. Uh,
Because I remember like a second game that I thought was Dead Island where I had to
there
like,
was Riptide. There was
yeah,
Riptide.
that's right. That was the game I did not like. But I
Okay.
guess now I should try Dead Island 2. I don't know. I like hitting zombies with boards or
And
whatever.
the other one is Dying Light, huh?
Yeah, right.
Dying
And that
Light is
sort of
the other
became
one.
a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and what is it? Dying Light is a bit more open world type of game. That Island is more zone
Yeah, right.
based.
Yeah, and Dying Light is just when it first came out, parkour was the major selling point,
Yeah.
I believe. It has a lot of DNA from Dead Island, but the rooftop, the roof, because in the first one that was the big, like the rooftops were safer, the streets were dangerous, all that.
And on that topic, in 8 days, you have Dying Light: The Beast, which used to be a DLC of Dying Light 2, but now it's becoming a standalone game. A little bit like Hollow Knight, by the way, which was Silksong was
Yeah,
supposed to
that's
be a
right.
DLC.
Yeah, which I think probably comes from I think Silksong became its own game because it got way too big, and I think that
Yes.
the Beast got to be its own because they're like, well, why would we only sell this to people that own Dying Light? Like, because I feel
Yeah.
like it used to be, expansion packs basically, which
Uh,
is what this starts with. They required you to have stuff on your
mhm.
computer in order to work, and like there was only so much room on
Yeah.
a disk and things. That's not concern anymore. So like, if you're gonna make a story based, like non-systemic DLC in that way, I see
Mhm.
no reason why you would ever require the base game to
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a full price. It's not even a $40 or $50.
Oh,
It's a
that is
$60
interesting.
game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting. It's gonna be
Yeah,
challenging
that's it's not
because it's
that's a tough one.
it's not Dying Light 3 neither.
Man,
So they're probably recycling some
it's
most
it's Far Cry
assets.
Blood Dragon is what it is.
Yeah, well, it will really depend on the content and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's
the
good,
overall
if it's good, it's
speed.
good.
Yeah, yeah. If it's the same length as Dying Light 2, so it's probably fine. But if it's shorter, yeah, it would be more difficult to accept. Okay.
All right, that's what we got.
Good.
Everyone, please remember to like and subscribe and push all the buttons in all the places where they
Yes.
require pushing. And it's been good. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Bye
All
bye.
right.